Whether you felt hopeful or whether you felt hopeless, there's no question that if you are opportunistic, you will be able to create things, opportunities from this event. And even if the opportunities aren't for you, they could be for a friend. And even if not for a friend, Hashem can send something your way in ways that you can't imagine. You get a phone call, somebody met you at this event, and then they had a friend you don't know. Shlach lachmacha, shlach yohavcha, al Hashem hu yichalkalecha. Send your burden onto Hashem, He will sustain you. So, no matter what, my first message is, this was an amazing weekend. We really need to thank, where's Bella? Where's Bella? Bella. As well as her crew, we got Nadal over there. Where's Ament? Ament here?
No, he's not here today.
Okay. And everyone else who put their everything into this. I know I run trips very often. Let me turn this off, I just did something. And the number one thing that I look for when I take people into the number one rule on my trip is no complaining. If you're a complainer, I kick you off. Because you have to be a person of Akar Satov, a person who says, thank you. All this was done for me, for a cause, for my benefit. So whether or not the muffins were hard or soft, by the way, they were delicious. Whether or not there were too many speakers, whether or not I won or lost in Jeopardy, doesn't make a difference. Hakar Satov is one of those great midos that show that you're a good shidduch candidate. What happens when you come home? What happens to that inspiration, that connection? You go back to your bedrooms, in the homes where you live, into your routine. What happens then? Does this Shabbaton, does this event become a memory? So I want to share with you a quick idea. It's actually a profound idea, and even if you've heard it, I want to take it to a place that maybe you haven't heard it. When Hashem created light, all the way back in Parshas Bereshis, Hashem said, this light is too bright. We can't stand this light. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hide this light. And this light is going to be used for tzaddikim la'asad lavo. The Gemara says, the first light, tzaddikim nisrapim bam, or rishonim mikosh bam. That first light is so penetrating, so bright, that tzaddikim get healed. Someone has cancer, they go in front of the sun, it heals the cancer. But Rishoyim, Rishoyim are destroyed with that same light. And so, Hashem removed that light and replaced it with a simple light. You're looking at me now, you're not looking at me with the first light. You're looking at me with something called second light, or it's a reflective light. It's not bright. It's not beautiful. But it's also not shocking. It's not destructive. And there began the pattern called first light, second light, or Rishon and or Asheni. And everything in this world works with two lights. This is a great rule to understand about everything. Everything works in two stages. First light, big, bright, beautiful, shiny, doesn't last. Second light, not so bright, not so beautiful, not so penetrating, but comforting, and it can last. Everything that we do works in two lights. When the luchos came down, the first set of luchos came down, big, bright, beautiful. Did the first luchos last? No. They were destroyed. The second set of luchos quiet, very quiet. Moshe Rabbeinu brought it down. The second set lasted. And so, first light, second light. Now, if you understand this, there's much about life that you have insight into. Take love, for example. You date someone. You love them. Perhaps it's really going well. It's big. It's bright. It's beautiful. You're jittery. You're giddy. That first light, that first inspiration, that dies. That does not last. And by the way, that's a good thing. You cannot possibly be in a relationship of first light forever. It would be too intense. It would be smothering. First light is great. To enter a relationship with first light, fantastic. But then comes marriage, Be'ez Hashem Yisparach. And that first light disappears. And then you have to get your second light. And the second light needs to be earned. You see, one of the character traits of first light is it's a gift. You didn't earn it. You saw the person at a singles event, at a Shabbaton. They're beautiful, they're charismatic, they got high cheekbones, they've got game, it's awesome. But you never sat by their bedside picking up disgusting tissues while they had the flu. You never overlooked their second parking ticket in a week. You didn't do these things. You didn't earn that love. It was just like, I love you hear the violins, the trumpets. That's great. First light is beautiful, but it's unearned. So it doesn't belong to you. Second light, that you earn. And it's not as bright. It's not as shocking. And it doesn't need to be. It gives me something different. It gives me comfort, stability. The way I like to picture, these are Kabbalistic ideas, the way I like to picture in a very mundane way, I picture them like a nice pair of shoes. You put on shoes, you bought a pair of shoes, in the beginning, they're beautiful. No creases by the toes. They're looking nice, they're looking shiny, but they're not comfortable. But if you wear those shoes for a while, you got your creases, maybe you shove your heel into it so the back is a little bit bent, but now they're yours, and they feel comfortable. They're molded to your foot. Understand? First light, shiny, beautiful, disappears. Second light, not so bright, but comforting and lasting. I do trips to Israel. I'm doing one in a few weeks. There are people here who have actually been on my trips, and these are trips of inspiration. And they've heard me talk about this on the trip. You remember? I spoke about it. And I said at the very end of the trip, we have a final banquet, and everyone comes up and they speak, and they say, Rabbi, I'm going to do Shabbat, I'm going to do kosher, and I'm nodding and I'm thinking, no, you're not. No, you're not. Yeah, good for you, I'm clapping, but no, you're not. You know why you're not gonna? Even though you think you're gonna, after 2 weeks on my trip, you know why you think you're gonna? Because you're in the throes of first light. You got a spoon-fed, micromanaged, choreographed experience. Every part of this trip was planned 6 months in advance for maximum effect. So when you leave this trip and you go back to the comfort of your dorm, you're no longer going to feel the shininess and the first light is going to die. But then comes the real work. Then comes the work. Can I capture second light? Can I capture the second light? And if you do, then Shabbos can last, kosher can last, Yiddishkeit can last. And I had somebody who this happened to, and they said, I'm working on my second light, Rabbi, but it doesn't feel the same. I said, it's not supposed to. It does feel different. If you want to know another pattern that follows this, It's when the child learns Torah in the womb. Chazal tell us when the child is inside the womb, it learns Kol HaTorah Kula. But then right before it's born, the malach takes whatever a malach finger looks like, puts it on the little child's lip, and the child forgets the Torah. And then the child has to relearn it. Will it ever relearn it as much as the first time? No. Will it be as shiny as learning it from a malach? No. But you earned it. You went to Seder. You went to yeshiva. You learned the daf. You're earning it now. So here's the question. Are you following? Here's the question. What's the point of first light if first light dies? What's the point of creating a world of two lights? That everything works in this pattern when the first light eventually disappears? And the answer to that question is, first light is important because it carves the space for second light. It carves a halal. Without first light, we would be a block. I'm just a block of wood. But if I take an awl and I awl a hole, I pour a hole in that block of wood, now I can pour oil in and then it'll gather. First light gives me the space for second light. First love gives me what to aim for second love. You hear what I'm saying? First light is important because it tells me what could be. I could be inspired. So the trip is important because it reminds me what I can aim for. These are very profound ideas I'm sharing with you, and it goes so deep. We're just tip of the iceberg stuff. Go online. I speak about this a lot on different talks. First light, second light. Very critical. Last question, then we bring it home. First light dies. How do I not make sure that every time I get inspired again, I'm not redoing first light? Okay, I had first light. I was inspired. I went on an Israel trip. I went on a singles event. I got inspired. I'm in love. And then that dies. What makes the next light second light? Maybe it's simply repeating first light. You hear the question? It's a scary question because I know for a fact, and I've seen in students, that they keep repeating first light. They never actually get the second light. They just keep coming on trips. They get inspired, then uninspired, inspired, uninspired. What keeps it there? And the answer is that first light needs a placeholder in order for you to have continuity and get second light. Our son, years ago, we were at a beach in Cancun. Very nice, right? Speaking engagement. Not in the day, it's not siestic. So we used to go at night after everyone left, my wife and I and the kids, we'd go to this beach in the middle of the night. It's very cool. And one of our children was 9 years old, 10 years older than 9, I think. And he was digging a hole. He was digging a hole right by the water. And every once in a while, a wave would come a little bit bigger, and the wave would wash over the hole, and the hole would disappear. So after watching this a few times, I felt bad for the kid. So I told him, Mayor, why don't you dig the hole like 15 feet further up the beach so that a wave can't make the hole disappear? And you know what he responded? He said, Tati, I'm doing it on purpose. I'm challenging myself. Can I make the hole deep enough that even after the wave comes and goes, there'll still be a hole left? That's my challenge. You like it, right? That's the challenge. That's right. Can I make it deep enough? The challenge is when you have first light, can you grab something from the first light as a placeholder so that you can get second light eventually. To do something while you're in the throes of the inspiration of the love, so that even when it does disappear, you're holding on to something tangible so that second light can glam onto that. Really quick, there's a halacha. When you go into a cemetery and you have your tzitzis, you're supposed to tuck your tzitzis into your pants. Why? Because of a law. The law is called Na'ama. The law is called Loig L'Rosh. Loig L'Rosh. What does Loig L'Rosh mean? Loig L'Rosh means that a dead person is like a poor person because they can't do mitzvahs. So if you walk in to a cemetery rocking your tzitzis, and by the way, when you wear tzitzis, it's the easiest mitzvah in the entire Torah. It is the most no-brainer mitzvah that exists, because every second that I'm wearing it, I got a mitzvah, I just got another one, I just got another one, and I just got another one, and another one, and another one. So it's like I fasted Yom Kippur, I just fasted again. It's the easiest mitzvah that exists, tzitzis. But a person who passes away, they can't do this mitzvah. Yes, they can wear tzitzis, but there's no commandment for them, so they don't get a mitzvah. And if I go in with my tzitzis out, it's like I'm making fun of a poor person, like, hey, I can wear tzitzis, and I get a mitzvah, and you don't. So we tuck our tzitzis in, not to make fun of a poor person. Question, what? What does that mean? Do dead people stay in cemeteries? What does that mean? I'm making fun of a dead person. They're not there. They're in Olam Haba. Do dead people hover over the graves? Do we believe in ghosts? Do you hear the question? How am I making fun of a poor person if they are in the next world? And the answer is a little piece of each person who passed away remains above the grave. A little piece of the neshama stays in the cemetery. This is known as the Havla de Garmi, the breath of the bones. There's a little bit of neshama that remains with the bones, because if there wouldn't be, then there couldn't be Tchias HaMesim. There's got to be a little bit left. And it's that little bit of neshama that stays in the cemetery that feels bad with the tzitzis. Where does it stay, that neshama? It stays in a bone called the luz bone. That stays. And where does the luz bone get its sustenance from? Malava Malka. Because the Malava Malka is the Havla de Garmi of Shabbos. It's the breath of the bones of Shabbos. So the breath of the bones of Shabbos give life to the breath of the bones. The point is this. You're going to be going home to wherever home is. Maybe it's Chicago. Maybe it's New York. Maybe Florida. Maybe Minnesota. Maybe LA. Wherever you come from. Cleveland. You're going to go back. And it's possible, especially if you've been on one of these events, to just chalk this up as, okay, another event, success, failure, question mark. But that would be a chaval. Because perhaps there was some inspiration that touched you over Shabbos. Maybe a Dvar Torah. Maybe a connection. Maybe an idea for a friend. Maybe you wanted to get a phone number. You had a lot of maybes over Shabbos. You were a broad thinker. You're a Baal Chesed. Right away you were thinking about, oh, I know somebody who would enjoy this person. I know a connection. But then, time's up. We run car buses and we don't have the phone numbers. We don't remember the person's name. And the idea dies. And the first inspiration, the first light, unfortunately doesn't result in much. In order for the first light to evolve, to morph into a second light of action and permanence, you've got to do something tangible now. When I'm finished speaking, think of the idea that you had. Get the phone number. Don't let the person leave without it. Make it a priority, and Hashem will rest bracha on that second light. The second light has kiyum. I want to thank once again those who put it together, and I give you each a bracha that you should find your first and second light in love, your first and second light in ruchnius, and as she's about to come up, she's a little nervous, too long, no, we're okay. Listen up. Why did this connect to Hanukkah? Ready? We're dropping the mic here. Because the Pach Shemen, that little bit of oil, was the placeholder between the first light and the second light. Remember I said there's got to be something left? Now you understand the deeper idea of the Pach Shemen. The Pach Shemen was the placeholder between the first light that allowed the second light of the menorah to be kindled, halavai, by us. Thank you.
Okay, just a few practical announcements. So first off, the benches you see are open for you guys to take home, if you guys like.